the victim mentality is destroying the lives of men in the West. So, what is the victim mentality? The victim mentality is ultimately the belief that we don't have the tools within ourselves to overcome the challenges that we face in our lives. We don't feel we have control to take action, to capitalize on opportunities and avoid hurdles in the road. This lack of self-belief manifests itself as an outlook on the world that starts blaming others for our problems. Because we feel like the victim, we simply don't feel there are steps we can take to improve our situation. And as a result, we start blaming those who are closest to us, our family, our friends, those we're in a relationship with. We start doing this, and this is such a common pattern in the West, where people start pointing the finger at others, and we fail to take self-accountability. But it's really easy to get caught up in this cycle. So many of us just go along and we're in the passenger seat of our own lives. As you can imagine, this mindset is extremely toxic. The most empowering thing I've discovered on my own self-improvement journey is the fact that I can change situations, trying to have a growth mindset. This belief that I can actually change situations empowers me to take action, and compared to being stuck in that victim mentality where you start blaming others and feel you have no control, you just feel great and you start to feel some optimism for the future. So what is the cause of the victim mentality? Why is it so common? I think one of the biggest factors is the social media age, where we see results online and we see people who've achieved great things. Maybe they've got a lovely house, a nice car, that type of thing. Maybe they built up a great network of friends, community, and we look at them and we see the end result and we wonder why we can't get the same thing. And that's when we start looking outward and we blame others for our problems or the things we failed to attain. I think this leads to a mindset where we want what we want instantly. And if we don't get that, we start looking around elsewhere for people to blame, rather than acknowledging that success and any sort of development is all a process. It's not in the event. I think another factor is growing selfishness in this generation, and I think that links back to social media. Consumerism, I think, very much leads to the belief that it's all about us and our needs. How can we satisfy them? And it's like we're angry children and we look out and blame others, rather than trying to let go of that blame and let go of what I think is the ego coming in and taking self-accountability, thinking how can we take practical steps to improve our situation? What can I do to feel better? For me, I used to have the victim mentality all the time. I used to blame others for my situation. Oh, I'm not in a good relationship. I don't like this. And I think it was outside my control. I didn't even know that I could do things to change that. My mind is all over the place. There are things you can do. But I didn't know that, and a lot of people don't know that there are things you can do to change your situation and to escape the victim mentality. So, how can we change our situation? How do we change our mindset and escape from victimhood? The best antidote to the victim mentality is taking action, identifying where we can change a situation. This is the route away from the victim mentality. One practical way to address the challenges of life and not fall into this mindset is, what you'll do is get your journal out and write down all the recurring problems that are coming up in your head. Let's give the example of studying for an exam. You've got a massive exam coming up 1 week away. You haven't studied much up until then, and it's on your mind constantly. You're worrying, you're starting to get into that victim state where you blame other factors. Oh, I had to go out the other week, it was my friend's birthday. I haven't had time, I've been tired. That kind of thing where you're blaming external factors. What you want to do is get away from this. And to do that, you'll need to write down this situation and then identify factors you can control and factors you can't control. In this example, something we can control is we can study for 1 hour at least a day for the next week. That's one thing I can control and focus my energy on. Another thing, I can make sure I eat healthy. I'm going to also focus my energy on this. This will fuel my revision and make me better prepared. I'm going to sleep well. I'm going to go to the gym and keep my mental health in a good position. So those are things you can do to take control of that situation. There are other factors, maybe thoughts going around your head, such as, I'm worried I'm not going to be fully prepared for this exam. Well, in response to that thought, what you'd say is, I'm going to do all I can in this week to change the situation, to learn as much as I can and be as prepared as I can. Now that I only have a week, I've left it late. You need to take self-accountability in this situation. Acknowledge that the time is limited. The situation is now not ideal. But you still have things you can do, and you just really want to focus all of your energy on doing that. I think another factor in getting away from the victim mentality is just realizing how toxic it is, how debilitating it is. Once you step away from it and you realize there are actions you can take, it's almost like it gains momentum, this idea that I am capable, and that self-belief begins to grow. It's like a snowball rolling down the hill, getting bigger and bigger. Each time you act as if you have the solutions to problems and take meaningful action, that belief starts building and building. You start to believe that I am someone who can influence my life. I can take positive actions that will make the situation I'm in better. As that belief grows, you become more confident and situations just don't faze you as much. And from there, life all gets better, I think, in my opinion. I hope that helps. Remember to stay away from the victim mentality. Be wary of those thoughts. When you start blaming others, just be aware, just notice them coming in, and try and identify how you can take positive action to overcome your challenges.